101.9 FM.
So it's only right that this week we do 994 Nanato 4. Next week, I'm sure Kojoichi is coming. I'm going to play, I'm going to use this to play all my songs. So you really have to tune into Z101.9 FM, your number one lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. So today, let's go straight into DIY. DIY is actually something I saw from the editorial of the New Finder newspaper, which is proudly part of the Z Multimedia Group. The editorial reads, "Beyond the brooms will a 2-day cleanup end Ghana's flood nightmare." So where I come in, or where Z Decor Life comes in, is how do you dispose of furniture that has been part of the flood, which you know very well that this is not salvageable, you can't use again, it is totally out of reach when it comes to sitting, lying, or even virtually using it again, what do you do? What people like to do, and I would say is because they don't have the knowledge, like to do is to literally burn. They organize a big bonfire, put all the furniture in, and just boom, burn. Well, it's one quick way of getting rid of the furniture, right? But what happens is it will make you ill. You see, when flood water comes in contact with a sofa, and I'm using a sofa here, it is not just water has soaked the sofa, right? In that particular sofa, there is foam, there's fiber, there's nail, there's metal springs, there's wood, and some of them have foreign plywood inside. So I've mentioned like 6 components before the fabric that make up the sofa that you sit in. Each of these things reacts differently when water, and as a matter of fact, contaminated water, which is the flood water, comes into contact with. There is mold, which forms instantly, forming bacteria and all those spores and all those things. And then there's the rust, the metal components, right? And all of that is a chemical reaction when there's fire, when there is burning. And especially when it's not in a controlled environment of an incinerator or a controlled environment of a space where proper technical people who know how to dispose of this like are involved. What you and I would do, as in just normal burning, somebody who has been trained to dispose of rubbish properly will know what to do, right? So what you can do as somebody who is getting rid of this is to just ensure that the furniture is split apart. When I say split apart, literally spoil the foam. Spoil the couch, sorry. So tear off the fabric, tear off the foam, separate the fiber away, the springs, the nails, the wood, everything, and section it and put them in airtight rubber bags, which are available, the big black plastic ones, and label it carefully, right? And go and dispose of them. Right now, what we have is the Pong landfill. That is what is taking these large, like bulky rubbish or residue. So until they close the Pong landfill down, that is where you have to send such things. Under no circumstance should you take it like within your own prerogative to just decide that I'm going to burn this thing on my own. Do not do that. It is actually ridiculous. Okay, so please, what you have to do is to make sure that all this rubbish, all these things are properly separated or properly situated. Then you take them and you go and dispose of them. Okay, all right. So that is the quick DIY I have for this week. So we'll do a quick spot of music, then we'll prep our guests, then we'll come back and start the discussion proper. Okay.
Me
So we are back. We did a good dose of Nana to Four. Nana to Four is one of my favorites. Oh god, I can't wait till next week. We'll play it again. All right. So we are back, and it's time for discussion. We have to be serious now. So our guest is online. He's going to join us online, and it's a very important discussion that we're going to have. As I said, Zed, we intentionally look for experts, people who understand what it is when it comes to the built industry. Because we've reached a point in our country where we need to be building right. We need to do things properly. We are the ones who are building, who are leasing, and the least we can do for ourselves is to set the foundation right, literally, all pun intended, so that we don't have buildings collapsing, we don't have buildings like growing moldy, you can't stay in, and virtually wasting our money. We need to do everything by setting the foundation right. So today, we're very lucky and very privileged to have somebody who understands. I'll let him introduce himself so you see where the energy is coming from. Okay. Hello.
Hi,
Hi. How are you?
doing very well, Nadia. How are you doing?
I'm also fine. I want you to introduce yourself. I know where you're coming from. I know what it is you do, but I want people to have a fair idea of who my guest is. So please, Ghanaian language. Please, who are you?
Thank you very much for the question.
Okay.
And thank you for having me. My name is Joel Menu. I am with AMJ Block Factory. We are a small growing building materials manufacturer and supplier here in Ghana. Um, our current focus, I would say right now, is growing and helping, the community that we live in, do better and build better.
Yes.
We focus mostly on concrete and concrete
Okay.
blocks right now, such as the solid blocks and then the hollow blocks, or interlocking blocks, pavement blocks. For me personally, what interests me is not simply producing blocks, but rather interested in the process,
Okay.
right? That goes into the building of the product itself.
Okay.
How do you create consistency in your blocks?
Exactly.
How do you reduce the variability from one batch to another, or from one production to the other? Because ultimately, good blocks is not just about putting cement and then
Yes.
sand together. It's about
Yes.
the process that
Okay.
the product itself.
Okay. All right. Let me just go straight to the point. What are we doing wrong when it comes to um, block manufacturing or the product? Let me use the word production. What have you observed? Like the top two things you have observed that we are doing wrong in Ghana?
I think Ghana has there's an industry and a long um, I guess history, let's call it,
Okay.
for how blocks are made. Traditionally, the block making process has not been one that people have been transparent about, or when a customer comes in and says they want to buy blocks, generally they don't understand how the blocks are made, right?
Okay.
They don't understand the process behind it. So
Okay.
the first thing I will say, is we have a manufacturing process for a material that's very important, but we don't have a process behind the product. I don't know how many block manufacturing factories in Ghana actually do test their blocks or measure the blocks they make to ensure consistency, right? And in the quality of the blocks they're making. So that's one. I'm very big on processes. And you made a very good point earlier about where we are as a nation.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that we begin to put processes into the things we do, right? And we need to enforce some of these. And so that part falls not on the business people, but on in the environment we are in and the regulations we are in. That forces us to actually ensure that the blocks we are making are quality and consistent production to production. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is that there's a general narrative that more cement means more quality for the blocks, or
Exactly.
heavier cement, heavier blocks means the blocks are more quality. It's not necessarily true always that. And so you want to make sure that when you are getting your blocks, you get them from people or a company that knows what they are doing and can help you make the right decision on the blocks you're buying. The fact that the blocks are heavy doesn't mean they are necessarily good for the building you're putting up.
Yeah. And I'm so happy you said that, because that has been the perception for a very long time, that my cement in kum, once the cement is inside, then it means that the blocks are good. And we need to start letting people know that that's not necessarily true. Anyway, what are the types of blocks? What are the types? I hear hollow, I hear 6 inch, 4 inch. Like, what is all that? What, please, just educate us. What is
Yeah.
the types of blocks?
Yeah, so in our experience at AMJ, a lot of contractors and then the developers we work with, developers generally have like engineers. And so these guys are technical people. They know
Okay.
what they want.
Okay.
There's a long array or list of blocks that are out there. I'll talk about the ones we use mostly in Ghana.
Okay.
One, because of where we are located geographically on
Okay.
the world, and then just the exposure to the weather and
Okay.
just the way things are in Ghana. So 5 and just 6 inch blocks are very commonly used in Ghana.
Okay.
And those 5 and then the 6 are solid blocks and hollow blocks. The solid blocks are generally they're they are not they don't have you don't have cavities in them, so you don't have
Okay.
holes in the blocks, and they are
Okay.
generally heavier.
Okay.
And the general use cases are for foundations, because for your foundation, for the block you're building, you want to have very strong and solid blocks. And the hollow blocks are a bit lighter. And so usually when you're building story buildings, you can use the hollow blocks there for the higher levels, just so that the dead weight of your building once you're done is not very high
Okay.
on your building. Right, when you use hollow blocks, it helps manage the building becomes a bit more overall, right? It's cheaper, and then
Okay.
your building is we'll call it healthier, because you're
Okay.
not putting so much weight
Okay.
on your building.
Okay. All right. And I like what you said, that where we are, because I think people forget that we are in the tropics. When I was in primary school, something that we learned, the monsoon winds, or a wind hitting across one part of
Southwest
no,
winds.
yes. I mean, as far as class 6, we were taught that, and I think we have forgotten. Because when people go like, "Oh, it's raining," I'm like, when we're growing up, it's something that we knew, that
Yes.
we're in the tropics.
Yes.
I know people don't pay attention to that, but how important is that in the manufacturing of blocks, knowing that we are in the tropics? I want you to really emphasize that point, because I think we've forgotten, or we don't pay attention to that.
That's a great question. I mean, I'll say from the businessman's or the manufacturer's perspective, we really want to consider that. You want to make sure, as a manufacturer, I am very big on processes.
Okay.
I want to make sure that the blocks that I manufacture are consistent, whether it's rainy season or harmattan.
Yeah.
So as with engineers on our side, we always make sure that the mixed ratios and the proportions are right. So the manufacturer's view is there, but the person building also has a view that I think is important to highlight. If you are building in a coastal area, for example, I think you need to consider salt in the air as something that could, affect the building you're putting up, compared to someone who's in the inland where they don't have exposure to these sea winds.
Yeah.
So from the manufacturer's perspective, I think I would highlight again on the process that goes into the building materials you're making. So just make sure that the proportions are right when you're in the dry season versus in the rainy season. Right now it's raining left and right. And, as a manufacturer, you want to make sure that you're putting the right proportions into the blocks that you're making. And for the builder, like I said before, if you're building a hotel or you're putting something right next to the beach, you definitely want to consider that. The last thing you want is to put up a structure and then you find that there's cracks all over. And I want to be clear that, for a lot of these things, it's not just the blocks that goes into the quality of the building itself, building itself once you're done, right? The drainage system of the building itself matters, right?
Yeah.
The foundation of the building matters, like the site itself. Is it a good site or a bad site? Because some sites are bad. And you need to acknowledge that when you are putting up your structure. And so when you come to me, for example, I don't have the insight into all this research you may have done, but I'll ask you questions.
Yeah.
At AMJ, we try to help you by understanding your bigger project so that we can provide you the necessary advice that we can, as much as we can. But as the builder yourself, it's important to consider where you are, the waterways, where you are. It's just unfortunate that lately we have a lot of bad news with, the bad drainage
floods.
system. Yeah, and it's affecting everything, right? If it's affecting lives, people are dying, people are losing their businesses, houses are being collapsed. And I won't sit here and say it's because of a certain blocks we are using. I think that's a big conversation that has to be had, but you definitely want to consider the quality of the blocks as well. You're putting up your structure.
Okay. So if you just tuned in, this is Z101.9 FM. I'm talking to Joel of AMJ, and he is just literally, and I like guests like this. He's literally hitting everything straight. He's not babysitting, or he's not like diluting the essence of the discussion. We're talking about building blocks and how important it is in our built industry. And what one major thing I have picked from what the points he just made is, you see, when you're going to buy blocks, you need at least to talk to the people you are buying it from. We like that. We don't like to share information. We like to keep things which are not necessary. Let the person you're buying the blocks from know that I'm going to build my dream house somewhere in Ada in front of a beach, so that the person can advise, if nothing at all, even show him your drawings. All these things are little things we take for granted. Why are you gatekeeping from somebody who's going to supply you a substantial amount of the material you need to put something up? We should stop that. This is 2026. We're trying to do the right things, okay? So this is a very important discussion. It will be repeated on Sunday at 5, and it is live on Facebook being streamed, and also live on the YouTube channel of Z101.9 FM. Joel, please, I want to ask again, materials used in block production, what are they? I know there's cement, I know there's sand. What else is in like block production?
Right, thanks for that question. So the typical notion is cement, sand, and then water, right?
Okay.
When you mix that gives you, that's what I think most manufacturers in Ghana use, but that falls more on the concrete side,
Okay.
concrete side, right?
Okay.
The cement is not what makes the difference.
Okay.
What is a concrete and what is a concrete block? When you have aggregators like chippings, we have some aggregators that we throw in there as well.
Okay.
These enforce and make the block. It's not just it's almost like actual concrete. And concrete, it's cement and sand and actual aggregators. Right? These will be the chipping or the stones that you put in there. So some manufacturers just use the sand and the cement and the water. That the concrete blocks. You also have some manufacturers who use some other aggregators like chippings.
Okay.
One is not necessarily better than the other. I always like to say it's not a one-size-fits-all solution for these things.
Okay.
Depending on your project, depending on the location of your site, depending on the land itself, like we've said before, you want to consider one or the other.
Okay. All right. And a few months ago, we had a cement company here, Simaf Ghana Limited, and they were very emphatic on the kind of water that we even use to mix the cement, because people just use any water. They just go and they just ask for water. We just it's like this rain. There's some muddy water in the corner somewhere. They'll just pour it. I have seen myself that some people also don't pay attention to the water they use on their building sites. They just do anything. My long and short question is, does water, clean water, also have its role to play in the manufacturing of good blocks as well? Is it something that people must also pay attention to?
Yes, there's a very strong yes for that matter. So if you use dirty water, your your blocks will ultimately it will show in the
Uh-huh.
blocks you have.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, if you use um, salty water, you
Uh-huh.
know, sometimes uh, you some factories uh, at our site we have a borehole that we extract water from the
Okay.
ground. You
Okay.
have to be careful where you are extracting the water from.
Okay.
Not every aquifer
Mm.
is good for production
Mm.
of blocks. Not every water that's underground is good for even drinking right
Mm.
away.
Mm.
So the water is very important.
Mm.
Unfortunately, the buyer
Mm-hmm.
can't tell the water that was used to manufacture the block.
So how will
And
we know?
that's why you have to ask questions to make sure that you are working with a manufacturer
Factual.
who has the
Mm.
process in place.
Okay.
I've emphasized on process a few times, and I think I'll say it a few
Please
more
keep
times because you want to
saying it.
understand.
Yeah.
You want to understand the way they are manufacturing. You want to understand that whenever they produce, they are testing the blocks. You want to
Mm.
understand that they have the right water sources.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, one batch will be good. The next batch, you can't guarantee that is going to be equally as good.
Mm. Okay. Ghanaians have a fascination now with story building. Me see Abrosai. Hey, I want a house with a view. And
Mhm.
this is also one thing that if you don't do well, the building will just collapse or you see cracks in the wall. When somebody
Right.
comes and says, Joel, I'm building 1 story, 2 story, what should we look out for? What should the person be looking out for when we come to AMG and say we want to buy blocks, but this is what I'm going to use it for? What should we look out for?
Right. So, to the extent I am a supplier for your
Mm-hmm.
materials,
Mm-hmm.
I can ask you only so much. It depends on what you want to expose to me.
Okay.
Generally, when you are putting up a story building,
Mm-hmm.
um, you want to have an engineer
Okay.
who will answer all these very important questions for you.
Mm.
You know, the buying of the materials is something that comes after you have identified that I have met or you have met all these requirements because there is a code that has to be met.
Mm.
I don't know how much of that is enforced.
Please, it's not.
Uh,
We've had a lot of people experts here, and the architects are just raising their hand. They're like, they are tired. Nobody is checking anything.
it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because the price paid is human life,
Mm.
and that's so sad to think about.
Mm.
So to the extent that you are building up something like this, you really, really want to find if you value your family's life or your building that you're putting up that it won't
Mm.
crumble
Mm.
on you in the future.
Mm.
Make sure you are working with engineers that know what they're doing.
Mm.
If you come to me, I
Mm.
will ask questions, of course, and depending on if there's an engineer on site,
Mm.
we will engage with them directly. We have an engineer on our site
Okay.
who will also directly engage with you
Mm.
and help you make the right decisions. If you are putting up a story building, that one is your pocket.
Mm.
If you have money, you're able to put up a story building. Good for you. We
Mm.
hope only that you have done the due diligence and the
Mm.
appropriate clearance that has to be done so
Mm.
that your structure is in the right place.
Mm.
As far as AMJ or the general block manufacturing industry is concerned, we hope that, um, you know, we hope to supply you the quality blocks
Mm-hmm.
that you can use for your work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll ask you questions, but we only recommend. We can't really, if you come to me and I say you should buy interlocking blocks, for
Mm.
example, because that's one that's very common, not
Mm.
used a lot in Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
but that's one that's very efficient and lets you use less mortar,
Mm-hmm.
allows you to have consistent alignment because it's interlocking. It's like you're fixing Legos,
Mm.
right? So if you come and I tell you you need interlocking blocks, and you say no, I can only recommend and then I can give you what you ask.
Okay.
So I definitely will encourage builders to have engineers on site, and if you don't have and you come to us, we can provide you with some support, to the
Okay.
extent that the supplier can provide.
Okay. Let me take that example you gave. Interlocking blocks. Why are we hesitant to use them? What's the thing?
I don't think we understand. Yeah, I think it's a bit of education, a bit of awareness, a bit of understanding what's out there, and we don't understand these. So we just rely on what has been done, what we have seen around. If you really want to save time, interlocking blocks are extremely fast with that. You use a little less mortar between your blocks as you lay them down for your block work. Another product that's also commonly used is fast floors. We call
Okay.
it hot. That one, if you're building a story building, if you're putting up a multi-story building, you use that in the floors. It's very fast. You're able to get through that very quickly. Unfortunately, many don't use it, and so I think the reason we don't use interlocking or interlocking hollow, for example, is just because people are not aware, and you'll be surprised to find that they are cheaper options, but because you don't know, you are paying for solid blocks where you should be paying for hollow blocks, and vice versa. It's just like we don't understand, and so we just mix and match.
And I think another thing, I've spent some time in the built industry. This will be like my 11th year. I am in the interior decor like space of it, and sometimes people are just aware, but they don't we don't like change. It's like we feel threatened. People feel like, oh, if we do this, then it's going to affect this line of business. So we would just intentionally suppress this information, or I don't know why we are like that. We gatekeep everything, and at the end of the day, we suffer. Oh, Joel.
It's a bigger. I could hear the. Is it Joanne? Hey, this one is from a place of. Oh yeah, it's unfortunate. Gatekeeping is such a canker.
Yeah.
I don't understand how. A little bit about my background. I worked in. I've worked in the US for a long time,
Okay.
and I've worked as an actuary actually for a long, so
Okay.
corporate. And I'll tell you that gatekeeping does more harm than actually help you to grow, do anything well. You say like who says their problem gets
Yeah.
say they'll kind of no drugs and
Yeah,
then something
exactly. And then
be
yeah.
like that. Yeah, so if you actually will open up and say we are AMJ, we try to be very, very transparent in our process. We have an operations system that's literally we measure everything we do, like as far as the things that come into the business, every little detail, every dollar, every because it's the transparency will allow all of us to be better
Yes.
as a team.
Yeah.
You see, I think um, you know the idea is if you hold something to yourself, then you have information that's valuable. That's true in some sense, but for the most part, it's not
Yeah.
because the world changes very fast
It
today.
does. Yeah.
And so when you hold something that you think is valuable, it's obsolete
Yeah.
by the next month. That information has no value to anybody anymore. The world
Exactly.
is changing fast, and I can tell you for a fact the reason why we went into building manufacturer is because of the potential of growth that is coming to Ghana.
Yeah.
It's exponential, and the infrastructure build is going to happen,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not, because now people have become aware and seen what can be done. There's a lot of money in the system. People are building, so the infrastructure growth is coming. So open up, learn better ways to do things.
Yeah.
If you're a builder, if you're a contractor, if you're trying to put up a structure, uh, explore new ways of doing things, and then open up, and then criticize yourself. Just open your eyes and ears, allow yourself to
Exactly.
learn, right?
Exactly.
Allow yourself to learn, get some good feedback on what you are doing, what works, what doesn't work, and then you will see the speed of your growth. So as a business, this is a bit beyond the manufacturing or supply of materials, but even as a business, you really, really want to have a very quick iterative process of testing and learning, so that you drop the things that don't work. Gatekeeping will completely stop that from happening.
Yeah. You heard Joel. Gatekeeping and your few it just makes you stuck and obsolete. You people, we are telling you. Anyway, Joel, there's something that I don't know if it's, we call it curing, but I see it a lot when people manufacture the blocks. Then they leave it in the, to the, like the weather. Then in the morning you see them with a hose like watering it. And is that what we call the curing, or what is curing?
Yes. So the curing process is after you've done, your machine has printed your blocks out for you. Your blocks, the block shape is there, but the block is not done yet. You can't
Okay.
immediately start building with it.
Okay.
And so the curing process is the part of the manufacturing process where the blocks sit. You give it time to bond, right? The materials to bond and strengthen the block. And the way we do that is depending on the manufacturer, a certain interval, you water the blocks, expose it to the weather, allow it to dry, water it again. The recommended curing time is anywhere from 4 to 5 business days, but again, it depends on the materials you're using. Some go as far as 7 days, some only do it for 2 days. Unfortunately, some don't even cure it at all. There
Okay.
are people who just manufacture the blocks and then they just are ready to sell it. But the longer you cure your blocks, the stronger the blocks become.
Okay.
And any manufacturer who knows their work can tell you if they have tested blocks that have not been cured well and blocks that have been cured well. You can see a very very strong bonding in the quality of the for blocks that have been cured for a long time.
Okay. So when we see it like exposed under the sun or during the rain, like we shouldn't panic, because sometimes I'm like, ah, why have they left it? Wouldn't they cover it with something? Because you just see them piled there and it's just there like that. Or we shouldn't worry
Yeah,
about that.
don't worry about that one, Cry. That one, that's part of. Like I said, it's like people don't consider that as part of the process,
Okay.
but it's one of the important parts of the process. You have to
Okay.
allow your blocks to cure. Let it water it twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, preferably for 7 days. That will give it the optimal quality.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes you're able to get by if you do it shorter.
Okay. When I was kind of researching, also, I saw laterites, I saw fly ash. What are those things when it comes to
Yeah,
block? What's that?
so these are what we call like eco-friendly alternatives to
Okay.
the block
Okay.
manufacturing process. And I was reading a little article on that, something happening in Cape Coast about some kind of research
Okay.
on some of these alternatives to standard, cement and concrete block manufacturing. And those are good and well because you are using natural soil, you're using laterite, you're not using cement in your block manufacturing. So, as a manufacturer of standard blocks, I definitely encourage that. Uh, what we want to do is we don't want to replace, um, we don't want to lower performance of
Okay.
our building because of eco-friendliness, right? We
Okay.
want to still put up buildings that are structurally strong
Okay.
at the end of the day. And we know what has happened the last month in Ghana.
Yeah.
So if you have a building that is not structurally strong, if it has some of these more eco-friendly products, unfortunately, your building will just collapse. So those are ones. It depends on where. So it's a bigger conversation. You can't have these conversations in a silo. You want to consider a lot of things. To Ghana had a big deal contract. He was exploring new ways of building. Uh, and it comes to your point on we don't like change. Nobody really wanted to explore the new ways, the cheaper ways of building. They didn't even mind him. And he lost a lot of money. He lost all the money,
Oh my
because
goodness.
and he wasn't able to get the demand that he was looking for. And I think the marketing, so he did a lot of marketing. It was such a challenge for him.
Ah,
I think I lost you there a little bit.
yeah.
So maybe I might have missed some of the question, but
Yeah.
uh, if you're asking what I have seen, I haven't,
Yes.
as a company, I haven't seen, I think, I grew up in Dansoman.
Okay.
Um, Dansoman is all concrete buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I haven't been exposed to some of these innovative ways for building, I would say. Um, uh, in my general reading, I have learned of not building but roads, for example, like laterite roads. That's what I've seen, and I think those are fine. It's not relatable, but I've seen that available there. As far as AMJ and then our little research we did before coming into the industry, and my exposure generally, I haven't seen much outside of the ones we see, when we go back to our hometowns and whatnot.
It's good you mentioned Suman, because I was going to ask the question like that. I was one. You've kind of answered it already, but I just want us to go back. So I grew up on the University of Ghana campus, and Dansoman, University of Ghana, Cantonment, Teshinungwa, etc. Those houses are still standing. The floods are coming and going, and those houses are still standing. I know it moves beyond the blocks, but what is it that those houses are still standing? And we who are building our nice, modern, clean line, it was real estate. The houses are just looking at us and just collapsing around us. What are your thoughts on the building industry? I want you to step away from your blocks.
On the blocks,
Yes.
okay. So this one there.
Masheda Fana made we do two sports. So.
Okay. It's a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
I think drainage, good blocks won't stop bad drainage problems. Expensive buildings won't stop bad drainage problems. Even in big cities like New York City, they have had drainage problems, and in the past, and there are parts that have drainage problems, there are parts that don't have drainage problems. The parts that don't have drainage, they have good drainage, never flood.
Yeah.
And it's a natural occurrence. It will rain.
Yes, it
right?
will.
It will rain at some point.
Yeah.
You don't have any control over that.
No.
And so the better thing to do will be to answer the question, well, how do we ensure that even if it rains, we are okay? Precisely. And so those places like Dansoman and the cantonment areas, I think that the fortunate thing there is that they put real good drainage systems in place. Fortunately, the newer sites where people are just building helter skelter, they are selling the land anyhow. It's unfortunate, because it's almost like you buy a property somewhere, right? You buy your land and it's fine. It's in a good location. Matter of fact, the drainage there is not a problem, right? All it takes is for the person next to you, if you are downhill, to come starting their building and then to just put a wall there. Sometimes that's all it takes, is for somebody next to you to put a wall, and suddenly you are in a flooded area.
Exactly.
It's just so uncontrollable. Yeah. It's like if you think about the way things are working now, it's just like anything can happen at any time.
Yes.
And that's not I can't understand how you can consistently grow in a community if anything can happen at any time. So yeah, that is the one thing for me that has been the bigger pain point, which is just making sure that we have the right drainage systems in place. Don't build in a waterway. We should make sure we know our waterways, right? We should make sure that, if you're building in a waterway, you have to remove it, So, yeah, that would be my take on that. Outside of the drainage system, I also think, you want to, there are some buildings that are in places that don't have drainage problems, but unfortunately, they don't have engineers, they don't have the educated people to help with the building itself. And then there are some buildings they just break down. So an example is the what do you call that mall at Tachimota that broke down?
Is it a Melcom?
Yes, the Melcom building. Yeah. I don't think that was a drainage problem.
No.
I thought that was an engineering problem, a structural problem.
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that you're building up to code.
Yeah.
So it always, a lot of these conversations, you have them, Nabia, and then it comes back to enforcing of laws.
And Joe, and that I'm not even interrupting you, Joe, but we have so many of those laws sitting there. Like we have
Well,
the
yeah, the
laws.
laws are not the problem. It's the enforcement of the laws.
Enforcement.
The laws, we don't need new laws in
No, we
Ghana.
don't.
We have too many of them. We just have to, and we should start from the very simple, straightforward ones. It's going to be hard to enforce all of them at once. And
Once,
so
yeah.
we just have to start with one
Yeah.
and then say, okay, as far as buildings are concerned, we want to make sure that at least every building is not in a waterway. That is that line.
Yeah.
And then we figure out a way to enforce that line. As a community, if the regulators are not doing it, I think we have to find other ways that we enforce as a people, because I don't want my child to be in a building that has the risk of collapsing at any point in time.
At all.
I don't want my friends to, so
Yeah.
it falls back on us, to ensure that we are doing things the right way.
I'm still taking you out of the blocks. Do you think we should move? The answer is yes, but I just want you to elaborate. I know you say yes because I know where your headspace is at now. Do you think we should move like most of our institutions out of Accra and like Greater Accra and send it out and kind of use that opportunity to remodel the city? Because I think now the city is overburdened. We've done a 2-day cleaning exercise. It started today, tomorrow, and I'm still, even the 2 days is not enough. Looking at the filth that I saw today in the videos, I'm like, oh my God, this one needs like a whole month of cleaning. But what do you think?
Right.
Should we move out of Accra?
So my just top of my head reaction, I think that decision depends on, I guess it's a cost decision, right?
Okay.
Like how expensive is it going to be?
Okay.
To be able to say we need to figure out Accra itself, or to move it, to move Accra to somewhere else, or the main city, the bigger cities, to somewhere else, right? I am for the idea for general. There shouldn't be like back in the day when I was in school, there was something we call what do you call that thing? Population migration, urban migration.
Yes.
The
census.
Yes, the general movement of people
people
from the suburbs or the smaller villages to the big city.
Hey, this was social studies. With studies is social studies.
Yes. I forget the word, the term. There's a term
for it. Yeah, I've even tried to remember. It's true. Social
something
studies.
Urbanization, something I forget.
Uh-huh.
So I think we need to there's a blueprint for a lot of these models in the world already that we can. You don't have to. This is not rocket science, honestly. It comes in the execution. We need people who are able to execute, who have a plan and execute. So yes, I think we should definitely distribute the distribution of population across. It's not good for everybody to be in Accra, but naturally some things will be in Accra, right? And so people will have to come to Accra. So my answer is yes, like you said. But I think the decision, if I was in a position where I'd be able to influence some of these things, it comes down to a cost thing. How much money do we have? And with the money, what can we do? If we can rebuild a city where things are working properly, we should definitely do that. It will be good for us. It will be good for our children. Right? It will be good for everybody, right? If we can do that, we should do that. But if we can't, I'm so happy with this 2-day cleaning exercise. I don't think it's a one and done thing. It has to be something we do consistently. We have to give ourselves, whether every month or every 2 months, we say we have a 2-day cleaning exercise where we close out all the shops and then we do this. This will save so many lives. We can't count today. This is extremely valuable. This what my children. This what I have two kids. This is what I tell them. You don't need to give yourself 3 hours to clean your room.
No.
All you have to do is clean your room 5 minutes every day, and your room is going to have a certain level of cleanliness that will make people feel like your room is always clean. So it's very closely relatable to this. If we will say every 2 months or every 3 months, we're going to give ourselves 2 days to do this. I think we'll save ourselves a lot. And the other thing is, if you are closing your shop every 2 days to do this, and you see somebody drop or make a mess or undo the work you have done,
you chase them.
You chase them. You start telling them your peace of mind, and then
Yeah.
it will lower it, and you yourself will become conscious of
Yes.
making the mess yourself as
Yes.
well.
Exactly. Ah, our 1 hour is almost up. Okay. And I want you to close the show for me. I want you to have the final word and close the show for me.
Thank you,
Um
Nabia.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's it. So please come back to the block and tell us what it is that Ghanaians must know, what Ghanaians must understand when it comes
Right.
to like block work and how it relates to the real estate industry.
Sure, I'll do that, Anas. The one thing I want people to know is that processes work. I think we should just think, like we said before, we should have a process with the way we do things, because we want to be doing better every time, right? We want to grow. We want our building manufacturing industry to grow. We want our buildings to be better. We don't want to retrograde. We want
Yeah.
to upgrade,
Okay.
right? And so the way you upgrade is you need a system, a process that works. You measure how things are working, and then you know how to get better. And so within the block manufacturing, within the building supply or building material suppliers industry, we really want to focus on, when you go ask questions, just make sure that the person you are buying from has a system in place that ensures they are giving you something that's quality. Are they testing their blocks? Are they measuring their blocks? Are they going to be consistent with their blocks they are providing you today? If you come back next month and you want to continue your building, because in Ghana, we distribute building time over a year. If I
Okay.
come 6 months time, well, I also have the same blocks,
Okay.
so ask questions, ensure that there is a process, ensure that they know what they are doing, and then they are on your side.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Joel, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for
Very-
this. I know the kind of pressure I put on you last minute, but thank you for
It's
saying
very well.
yes. And it just means that I'll call you again. Not soon, but I'll call you again.
I'll be ready then as well. I will be
Uh-huh.
ready for you.
Yes, because this question or this platform is just dedicated to just talking about this freely, honestly, and openly. I'm also really tired of we don't have a platform like this, and I think all of us. I am, as I said, I'm in the interior decor space, but I also think that if the buildings are not put up well or things are not done right, I cannot even come in with my chairs and my curtains and all the other things. So we need to get the basics or the foundation really, really right. So thank you very, very much for joining us. Joel is from AMG, and I would put his details out there so that you can also go and purchase and also ask relevant questions. We need to be able to ask important questions from these key people that we get our raw materials and products from. All right. So um, next week I would be here for another show on Z Decor Live, and this, as I said, is on Facebook, on YouTube, and will be repeated on Sunday at 5 as well. Have a good day, and Highway 1019 is coming up. DJ Khalifa is already here. He's not my friend, but he's already here. And the host, Mr. Stakes, will be here shortly as well. So have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. All right, bye.